Right before we went on air, the longest-serving member of the House of Representatives, John Conyers, announced that he is retiring today. He still denies the sexual misconduct allegations against him, and some people are questioning, was he right to walk away? Would it have been better to stay and fight, or can you fight in this environment?
Well, wasn't his health an issue? He spent some time in the hospital, and he's 88. I mean, he certainly has served his country for a long time. I think he's the longest-standing congressman.
Yeah.
So
I think it was good because right now the look of everyone and all this coming out, he is older, he is on the tail end of his career. Do a solid for everyone, and optically...
Did you say do a solid?
Do a solid. Do a solid for everyone, and just, like, wrap it up. If you truly did not do one single thing, I always believe in fighting, but again, like, if you read into some of these things, you have to kind of question that. I think you walk away. Go enjoy your life. You know?
Yeah, it's a hard narrative for the Democrats, for Nancy Pelosi to say he's a hero, which he is, as many of our icons are, but also have these sort of sordid pasts of sexual assault. So I think if the Democrats care about the future being female, as it says on your sweater right now, Sarah.
I planted myself here.
It is imperative that he steps down. That being said, his son, John Conyers III, he has asked to replace him in Congress. So I don't know how altruistic it really is when you're like, I'm leaving, but my legacy of my children will continue on.
You can't swap out.
Yeah, how does that work?
You can't say, when you leave, they have to...
He endorsed him.
Okay.
Yeah. Because folks do it all the time. All you have to do is look down the roster, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
He can't just show up to work tomorrow and sit in the seat.
No. But you know who's not leaving? Senate candidate Roy Moore. He is staying put as new evidence seems to emerge against him. The reality star in the White House has given him support, and the RNC has said, hey, we're staying with him. And, of course, there's always Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who seems to have changed the tune a bit. Take a look.
Roy Moore should step aside. The women who've come forward are entirely credible. He's obviously not fit to be in the United States Senate.
Do you believe that Judge Moore should be in the Senate?
I'm going to let the people of Alabama make the call. This election's been going on a long time. There's been a lot of discussion about it. They're going to make the decision a week from Tuesday.
Did you see? He said, I'm going to let the people of Alabama. It's like they throw up in their mouth just a little bit, and then they put it out there. I think the Mitch McConnell, that's the real Mitch McConnell, was the person that made the first statement that stood by morality and conviction. And the Mitch McConnell that we're seeing here is just, playing.
How do you know which is the real one? You don't know.
Because the first time he didn't throw up in his mouth, and then the second time he did.
Well, when you take the high road and you do the right thing and you don't endorse an accused pedophile, you don't have to throw up in your mouth.
I think that was the real person. I do.
Are they betting an awful lot on this one Senate seat? I mean, is this really worth it? I mean, it's kind of funny when you, because, just like, how do you shift? Now, I know that the guy in the White House has promised everybody something. He's promised everybody, and so that's why I think he's able to make the shift so quickly.
But Megan, you predicted that, you said even with all of this, the polls are showing that he's probably going to be voted in.
But I think if we learned anything from Trump, just the fact that they're turning, I think something internally showing that he has a high likelihood of winning. Again, anything is possible, and especially in Trump's America. There's a weird sort of like inside the palace walls intrigue for me right now that's a little wonky. So Mitt Romney, obviously everyone knows who Mitt Romney is, tweeted Roy Moore in the U.S. Senate would be a stain on the GOP and on the nation. Lee Foreman and other victims are courageous heroes. No vote, no majority is worth losing our honor, our integrity. So Mitt Romney tweeted that. Well done, obviously. So Ronna Romney McDaniel is Mitt Romney's niece, who is the current chairwoman of the RNC. So they're talking right now about the RNC giving money to this specific candidate. His niece could play a big role in this happening. And I do wonder, because it goes many ways, is he having a conversation with his niece, who's a big player in the RNC right now, about the optics of this long term? This is a lose-lose-lose situation for Republicans. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If he gets elected, he loses. If we lose, it's obviously losing a seat. But we did this to ourselves. If you let Steve Bannon pick all our candidates, we're ultimately going to be bloodlet out of the party one way or the other,
So why
and it's
doesn't
bad.
Mitch McConnell fight with Bannon then? Why is he endorsing this
They're
guy?
scared of him. He still has a lot of power.
And they need that seat, don't they? And the thing is, what I don't understand is they do have a viable choice, voters in Alabama. If you look at Doug Jones, yes, he's a Democrat, but he was a federal prosecutor for that state for 20 years. He prosecuted crimes against women, crimes against children. He prosecuted the U.S. bomber, a terrorist. So when you're looking at the Klan, and so if you're looking at a choice, it's not really a Hobson's choice, right?
So politically, I want to know what happens next. So if he gets in, you have someone that has a major stain. So what do people just forget it and then just try to operate with him, or does it become
the
like...
attack ads write themselves. I mean, going into midterms and 2020, this will be on us like a stain. It's our own fault. For the women, especially in the Republican Party, I was watching a really amazing put on CNN earlier, and the stain is hard. It's particularly hard on conservative women because we're pushed into this, that I somehow would be okay with a pedophile. I would somehow be okay with not believing women who are victims of sexual assault. And this will live with us forever, and I'm just glad that there are people like Mitt Romney, honestly, around to speak.
Bring back Mitt Romney.
And also, you know, this will live with the women of Alabama, and hopefully you'll have the ability to explain to your daughters how this happened. We'll be right back with more Hot Topics. Two men who lost their jobs for sexual misconduct are being replaced by women. Robin Wright will take over the lead when House of Cards resumes filming. And PBS is hiring Christine Amanpour to fill the vacancy from the canceled Charlie Rose show. So I mean, these are all good choices, you know, and so maybe that's what has to happen. Maybe we have to remind people.
I adore Christine Amanpour. I worked with her at CNN, and she's just such a gracious, giving person in terms of, you know, career and support. And I think we've heard it here at the table often. When women have power, things change for women that work for them.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, like Shonda Rhimes.
This is a new...
It's going to take time.
It's something we have to keep reminding folks, because one of the big conversations folks used to have is how women don't support each other.
Right.
And so maybe if there's only us to deal with, maybe that will change.
Yeah, well,
When it felt like the higher you climbed, there were less places for women, so it almost created a culture of women saying, if one of us is staying, it's not going to be you. Like, you know, so there was like almost an attack mode of women on women.
But also, if the majority of the people running the place and working there are men, there's only a few slots. Is that your point?
Yeah, well,
you know, there's only a few slots, so it's like if you have my job, I'm right behind you waiting for you to quit because there's only that slot.
But if we're in positions of power where we can create other slots, that's something as women we should be doing.
Like Shonda.
You know?
She says on
that's what we should be doing.
A lot of women.
The schadenfreude that I'm getting out of this right now is the fact that Robin Wright wasn't paid as much as Kevin Spacey for House of Cards. He was paid $500,000 an episode. She was paid $420,000. Absolutely ridiculous. She's the best part of that show by far.
So good.
She's incredible in this show. And let me tell you something. As someone who spends half my time in D.C. and works in politics, they nail so many nuances of what goes on in the Beltway. It's a fantastic show. I'm just happy it's not being canceled because
it's too good a show. And so we had another thing. Margot Robbie, do you know who? What the?
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll be right back.
So Donald Trump's former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, and I both wrote books about the White House's current residents this year. Mine is called The Great Gas Bag. I'm guessing his is a bit more flattering. So here to try to give us a different perspective on the 45th president is the author of Let Trump Be Trump, Corey Lewandowski.
Thank you.
Am I right?
It's great to be here, thank you. And I hope yours was #1. I'm hoping mine gets #1 with your help, so thank you very much.
All right. So now Trump has officially endorsed Roy Moore. Mitch McConnell has now come out and said that the RNC is behind Roy Moore, and they're throwing money behind it. Put your money where your mouth is, the money's going there. So the optics are going to be a little hairy for the Republican Party in the next couple of years, don't you think? Because everybody who gives money to the RNC is going to be tainted, possibly, that you're supporting an accused child molester.
Well, look, let's just be clear. I think we have a big problem in Washington, D.C. right now. We've seen very powerful people, from Al Franken to John Conyers, some of the most powerful Democrats in the country, being accused of things, and some admitting to them, and some and paying off people through taxpayer money.
Right.
We have a real culture of problem in Washington, D.C. And what the voters have to decide is, who are they going to send to Washington to represent them and their values? That's the most important thing. And look, we've seen Al Franken now come out and apologize. I think John Conyers just said today he's resigning from Congress because of these accusations.
Yeah.
These are very, very serious accusations. People, if they've committed crimes, should be prosecuted for those crimes. But I'm very cautious about rushing to judgment until we know all the facts. Now, when you admit that you've done something wrong, and Al has done that and made an apology, it's going to be up to the voters of Minnesota to determine if he should be the right person.
It means if you don't admit it, that you should be exonerated?
No, but there's a fine line, I think, between being accused of something and actually being convicted of it. Unfortunately, this is the society we're in right now. We've seen a lot of prominent people in the media, in major network television news
and they all
disbelieve women, though? Are we
absolutely
no? This is
no. We shouldn't disbelieve anybody. But the question is, what is the punishment by being accused and being convicted? They're two different things. Al Franken has now admitted he's groped women. We have the pictures.
Let's talk about Roy Moore.
Roy Moore. Let's talk about Roy Moore.
Yeah.
It's going to be up to the people of Alabama to decide if those are the values that they want to put in the U.S. Senate. It's not for me to decide. I'm a resident of the state of New Hampshire.
But Mitch McConnell didn't say that in the first place. In the first place, he said, no, we're not endorsing him. He should get out. Now he's saying it's okay. So where does he stand morally?
It's not up to Mitch. It's up to the people of Alabama to decide, do we want a person who's going to go to the U.S. Senate to support conservative values as it relates to the fiscal issues, or do we not? Do we want a person who's going to support stopping illegal immigrants coming into the country or not? That's up to them to decide. Just like it will be up to the voters of Minnesota when Al Franken gets reelected and they put those pictures of him groping women all over the country.
It's a false equivalency, don't you think?
No,
one is about children and the other is about
adults. If my family was groped by Al Franken when they were asleep, I'd be very appalled by it.
If your 14-year-old daughter was molested by Roy Moore, you'd be upset about that, too.
Let me tell you something. I'm the kind of guy... Absolutely right.
Can I jump in really quick, though? Part of why Trump won is the distrust of the media, like the innate misunderstanding, I think, of Trump voters. 71% of polled Alabama voters don't believe the media's take on the Roy Moore accusers. What is it that the media continues to get so wrong about President Trump and get so wrong about covering his supporters?
Well, look, here's what we saw just this week. An ABC News reporter made up a story and was penalized for it.
He didn't make it up. It was a mistake.
Wait, no, there's a difference between making a mistake and factually having... You're a reporter who is a national television reporter and getting the facts wrong and going out and saying something that's wholly and factually inaccurate, and the accountability. Look, if it was just a mistake, ABC News wouldn't have suspended him for 4 weeks. They would have said, everybody makes mistakes. They would have said, everybody makes mistakes.
Well, that was a big mistake.
It's a huge mistake.
And he's being held accountable for it, right?
Well, he should be fired for it, is what he should have been. Because what you've done is you've taken the stock market in that one day. You dropped 350 points because what he said was that Donald Trump told Michael Flynn to go and do something, which was never the case. And so, look, I'm glad Mr. Ross is being held accountable.
Wrong, Corey.
Well, look,
come on.
There's no evidence that Donald Trump ever told Mike Flynn to do anything. Well, so to say that as a factual basis on a major television network, I think is a gross injustice of journalistic integrity.
He did plead guilty to lying to the FBI, right?
Right. And Mike Flynn...
his conversations with Russia.
If Mike Flynn, which he did, committed a felony by lying to the FBI, Mike Flynn has to be accountable for that, as anybody else should. But look,
well, let's talk about Mike Flynn's plea deal then.
Let's do that.
Because Flynn was one of Trump's most vocal supporters and a constant fixture on the campaign trail. He was national security advisor, and now he's a key witness for Mueller. Let's be frank here. How worried should Trump be?
Look, I think if you look at what has taken place under the Mueller investigation so far, we've seen almost $10 million of taxpayer money has gone to this so far, which is perfectly fine if there's a crime there that leads somewhere. But nothing has gone to the president that says he's done anything wrong. There's been no collusion, there's no cooperation, there's no coordination. If Mike Flynn is guilty...
Just wasting his time?
No, look, I think Mike Flynn should make sure that no foreign government ever interferes in the election of our great country, because if that's the case and anybody is involved in that, I hope they are prosecuted and spend the rest of their lives in jail.
Yeah, we kind of know that it's happened.
Well, and you've said this repeatedly. You said recently, anyone who colluded with Russia should go to jail for the rest of their lives. So if it is found that Trump colluded, should that be his fate?
Should he go to jail too?
Nobody's above the law. But
so
let's be clear.
Is that a yes?
Look, I know the president so well. I had the privilege. Look,
Don't throw
Joy,
up in your mouth a little bit.
Yes.
I had the
You guys are
privilege.
laughing, but he worked on a. I mean, listen.
I had the
let me just
privilege of
finish
being
really
next
quick.
to him.
You're not answering the thing we've been talking about all week. Is like, what is it that we're missing about Trump supporters? What is it that we don't understand? You worked for his campaign. Granted, you're not working in the administration, which I'd be angry that I wasn't. It wasn't if I were you. But what is it that the media is missing about his supporters? Because I think it's interesting to know your perspective.
Do you know how I got? It's really interesting. You know how I got to meet Mr. Trump? I was introduced by a friend of mine, Dave Bossie, and he met Donald Trump because his son was a young boy. He had 4 brain surgeries and 2 heart surgeries, and David was trying to raise money for Children's Hospital in Washington, D.C. And he knew Steve Wynn, the great Steve Wynn from Las Vegas, and Steve said, I'm going to introduce you to this guy, Donald Trump, and he's going to help you. Didn't do it with fanfare, didn't do it for anything other than to save this boy's life. The boy's now a 14-year-old, and he's done amazing things because Donald Trump helped him. And Dave Bossie said to me, I want to introduce you to Donald Trump, and he might run for president. Would you go and sit with him?
Yeah.
Because of the gratitude that Donald Trump has given and the graciousness of the man that I knew.
Yes.
That's what his
But that's not how
know.
you write about it in your book, Corey. But in your book,
what I say is
let me
he's
tell
tough. He's a killer.
Okay.
Well, I want a killer as a president.
You do?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I
good.
want to make sure that we are the toughest, greatest nation in the world,
Greatest,
and
the
that
most
we are
macho.
safe.
Listen, you write that he was ruthless to his staffers. You write that there was a side of him so bad that, quote, it makes you wonder why you took the job with him in the first place. You were his target on many occasions.
I was. You know why? Because I failed. Because
What was the thing he did to you exactly?
Yeah, look, when this is a man who has achieved such amazing success in his life, whether it's New York real estate, books, television, and now in politics.
Trump University, don't forget that.
Well, look, I think he did pretty well. But you have to remember, he deserves perfection. He demands it. He wants you to work harder than you've ever worked. And look, I grew up in a blue-collar town of Lowell, Massachusetts. I grew up poor like so many others in a single-parent household. I know what hard work is. I thought I did till I came to work every day. It was a 19-hour-a-day job, 7 days a week, and I'm thankful for that opportunity. Did I fail?
But you can be a gracious
Sure
leader
I did.
without screaming and yelling
But
at
you know
people,
what?
right?
I wanted to work hard. I wanted to be perfect. And look, there are many times I failed him, and many times that I wanted to do better. But I'm grateful for the opportunity.
I've got to ask you this question because when I heard you say this, when I heard you, saw you wrote this, it was incredible to me. On day 1 of his campaign, Trump came down that golden escalator and he called Mexicans rapists who bring drugs and crime to America. You wrote in your book that those words were as close to the opposite of racism as any words could be. Please, Corey, explain that to me.
You have to remember the rest of the quote.
Please explain that to me.
What's the rest of the quote?
He also said some, I assume, are a few, they're good people.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Threw a bomb.
But listen, here's the thing. I know President Trump. Not only is he not a racist or misogynist, he's the exact opposite. Because you know what? Look, I've had the privilege of sitting next to him. And he doesn't care if you're white, green, blue, or orange. He doesn't care if you're a male or a female.
So when he says those words, we shouldn't believe him.
No, what he said was, look, what he says is, look, this week we had a terrible tragedy of justice, in my opinion. Kate Steinle's killer. The man who killed her in cold blood was let off because of an injustice justice system. He'd been deported 6 times from this country, and this poor girl died. A beautiful young girl in California was shot and killed. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you're white or black, green or orange. Justice should have been brought to her
Okay, but you know
family.
what? Anecdotal evidence is not policy and is not what we're talking about here. That is anecdotal. That's one incident.
No, that's
Policy
not.
is not based on an anecdote, Corey. Anyway, we have to go. I'm sorry. Thanks for Corey Lewandowski.
you love the
His
book.
new book,
I'm gonna
Let
send you a
Trump
book.
Be Trump.
Joy,
The
I'm gonna
Inside
send you a
Story.
book.
And I'll send you mine, too. It's about his rise to the presidency. It's available now. We'll be right back.
Book has just launched a new messenger app that is aimed at kids as young as 6 years old.
No.
Now, some folks are saying, is that too young to introduce them to social media?
Yes. Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
So does that mean then all these parents who are constantly on their social media, at the table, at the resorts that they go to with their kids, are they going to put their phones down and pay some attention?
Well, as Joy said earlier, there's no hope for us, but there is hope for
No,
the
there
next
is hope
generation.
for us.
But no, we have a thing at home, like, we're not perfect at it, but, like, we try to set our phone down upon entry, because I don't want, even if I'm looking at a picture or my mom's calling, I just don't want Alec to see me with a phone like this. So we do it as much as we can. We set it down in the house, but I don't want them creating anything geared towards my child. They get online too soon.
6 is awfully young.
It's very young, and then they can't even get off. There's an addictive quality.
But there
to
are
this
studies even now that are saying that teenagers' brains are not fully formed.
Yeah.
So when you're 6 years old, you really don't have it down yet. And it's an addictive thing. I see it when my grandson's playing a game, Minecraft or whatever the hell it is. I mean, it's a total obsession with it. He's only allowed when he comes
But
to
you
my
all are
house.
giving, where do you think they're getting this from? This is coming directly from, I have a huge, because I don't understand why people can't put their phones down. I don't understand why it has to be a fight. Your kid is there. And if you're not going to pay attention to your kid, other places are going to start looking to see if they can do it.
That's something else. That's something else. I totally agree with that. What you're really describing, what she's describing is bad parenting. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Mark Zuckerberg, keep your hands off my grandson.
Well, that's what I was just about to say, is that maybe this is so...
Digitally speaking, sorry.
Yes,
But maybe
of
it's so
course.
cynical, but my first thought is, imagine the information Mark Zuckerberg can gather from a 6-year-old onward. Facebook is the greatest...
taste
Yes,
and-
Facebook is the greatest dystopian weapon of war that
That's
exists
true.
in the world, period.
And-
if you're gathering information on 6-year-olds on...
So here's my
If we learned nothing in this last election.
So if your child is on Facebook and you're not paying attention, who's that on?
I know.
You.
Well, yeah,
That's
I
on
mean,
you.
The other thing is something that I have struggled with, and Whoopi, we talked about it with my daughter Paloma, who's 11. My 15-year-old's not really that interested in social media, which is because he's such an athlete. So he's always outside and kicking the ball around. But my daughter, all of her friends are on social media. And she's only 11. And so what do you do as a parent when you're kind of the dud who's like, nah, you're not getting on social media? And so you almost are pulling them out of a social circle.
Well, yes, you are.
Throw a
but
summer
you can
party and
also,
have them come
you can,
figgy pudding this Christmas because the Oral-B Genius 8000 electric recharge, that sounded, okay, able toothbrush is like having a dentist with you every time you brush. It has real-time visual coaching and pressure control to help you brush like the pros want you to. And you can even customize it with a choice of 12 colors. It's worth almost $280. So thanks to Oral-B, members of our audience are going home with the Oral-B Genius 8000. Products we give away today and this next week. Enter for a chance each day by visiting our Facebook page and using the daily code you see on the screen. It's that easy, so good luck.
We'll be right back. He became a star as half of the brilliant Emmy-winning sketch comedy duo Key and Peele, and now he's making his Broadway debut. I love that. I'm just gonna say it. It's one of my favorite skits ever. He's making his Broadway debut with Amy Schumer and Steve Martin's new comedy, Meteor Shower. Please welcome a truly funny man, Keegan Michael Key.
Hi. Well, we have to start off with some... You're still laughing at that sketch.
Still one of my favorites because it's exactly...
It's what would happen.
Okay, I'm cool.
Are you got it now? Okay, so we have to switch to something a little harsh, but we were talking about sexual assault earlier.
Yes.
And I understand that you actually have a life hack for men in the workplace if they want to avoid sexual harassment scandals.
I do. So here's the deal. Gentlemen, if you are in a situation with a female coworker, it's very simple. This is all you have to do. Just pretend, no matter what the environment is, that you're talking to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, okay? That's all you have to do. That's all you got to do. It's okay. If you're at a lunch meeting, you're talking to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Right.
If you're compelled to mansplain, pretend she's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Just take any female counterpart or coworker and just pretend they're Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
That's a good
just
point.
treat. You know, it's really. I know this is so hard, guys. Just treat a woman like she's a human. It's real hard. I know it's real hard, Dwayne. It's real hard, guys.
Really big dude.
Or like a really big superhero, like a real life superhero. So that's I just think that's it. It's I don't understand. It's ego. It's all ego. We got egos. We got problems. Men got problems, but not as many as women.
No, it's like an acting substitution.
It's exactly acting substitution. Yeah.
Keegan, you also, I loved you, and I was saying this to you earlier, in Friends from College.
Yes,
That is, you had that on Netflix.
That's on Netflix, yeah.
But you also, while you weren't acting, got engaged because you had extra time on
I had
your
extra
hands.
time on my hands. I got engaged, yes.
But you called it, and do go watch Friends from College if you have a chance, because I've watched some of those episodes 3 times. But you called it a ninja proposal.
Yes. Yes, I would like to first of all again say thank you to Jeffrey the waiter, because I'm sitting here. We went to Per Se, to the Thomas Keller restaurant, and we were having this meal. And right then I thought my fiance, I mean, the gig is up. She knows. She has to know, because I planned the date night. I never planned the date night. Right there. That should have been it right there. But she said, but we were there, and I was just okay. I don't want to take her out to the park. She's got those heels on. She shouldn't have to walk. And the waiter's like, may I make a suggestion? And so I'll, between the meat course and the cheese course, I'll bring out, bring something out. So he brings out this like saucer with this little dome on it, and he pretends like it's its own course. Like, here, madam, I'm going to take this off here. Then there's another little dome underneath. He goes, that would be you. You're required to take this one off for this course. And she's like, why no? Jeffrey was on it. And then, so she went to the bathroom, and when Jeffrey was explaining this to me, I was like, here's the ring. So she takes the thing off, and there's like a little saucer filled with like Himalayan sea salt, and the ring was perched in the middle of the saucer. I was impressed. I was like, Jeffrey, will you marry me? It was really slick. It was real sly.
That's really good.
And then Elisa just started crying, and then very surreptitiously, like she's looked crying. I was just like, I'm just get on the knee and do this.
Jeffrey was probably like, get
down on your knee. It was great. It was great. Jeffrey was very helpful. Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
So let's talk about Play. You're in Meteor Shower.
Yes.
Amy Schumer is in it.
Yes.
And, Whoopi said Steve Martin created it, and he's very apparent there. He comes around.
Yes, he's around.
Yeah.
He was around all the time. Like, right as we were finishing previews, almost every show, you'd come backstage, and Steve Martin, it's just, you'd come down, the curtains come down, you turn, and there's Steve.
That's great.
Because he's even just said recently, he loves it, Joy. He loves the fact that it's coming, that he's watching actors make the words come to life.
Yeah.
And because he was there, we had carte blanche to change the lines, move things around. Yeah. It was really, it was just a lovely experience. And to see him like a child, like opening a gift every night, it was really great.
Cute.
It was really great. Really great.
I've got to ask you about the new Lion King movie.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah, so...
Very exciting.
Donald Glover's Simba, Beyonce is Nala, and you're going to play one of the hyenas. I know someone else who has played a hyena before.
We have 2 hyenas at the table.
Yes. Now, you're playing Kumari. Did you take notes on Whoopi's performance?
I did.
To get ready?
I did. There's a certain amount of sinisterness that you want to give to the hyenas, and I love the fact that the hyena. My favorite part about that movie and why I wanted to do this one is because you can see, like a little bit, like one looks a little bit like Cheech, and one has like some of it a little bit. So like Whoopi, like they looked at Whoopi and said, let's give it a little bit of, like you could. And I was like, that was so cool that you're watching like a living caricature of the person. And so when Eric Andre and I, who play Azizi and Kumari, they had like a ton of cameras on us, because this is one of these CGI ones, like the Jungle Book. Looks like the Jungle Book. And they are capturing different angles of our faces. So I think when we watch it, they're going to look like real hyenas, but they'll have a little touch of us, or like our cheekbones, or we'll see.
A little Keegan.
We'll see. I don't know.
Tell me that they've kept the comedy.
Oh yeah, in this particular section of the film, it's very comedic.
Yeah.
But me, I'm doing a straight Laurence Olivier. I'm nothing but dramatic.
What we've all been waiting for. We had so much fun when Jason Ritter and Bob Saget attempted to break Guinness World Records on our show recently. Today, you, sir, are attempting one yourself. The most balloons popped with your bum in 1 minute.
Okay. 1 minute. I've been working on this.
Yes. So we don't want to lose any time on this. So you guys gear up. We've got props to protect your ears and your eyes.
Okay. All right, here we go. Put these bad boys on.
Put that on.
Ears. All right.
Put that on. Okay.
All right, we're walking down. You ready, son? All right, here we go.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
In them that we have to have.
Here we go.
You got this. You got this.
All right, here we
position,
All right,
sir.
assume the position. Here we go.
Okay, and we've got Guinness adjudicator Hannah Ortman is here.
Hannah
with us
is
today.
here. It's making it
Hannah,
official.
Tell us what we need to know.
Keegan, today you are attempting the Guinness World Records title for the most balloons burst by sitting in 1 minute.
First by sitting
You
in
may
1 minute.
not use your hands.
Correct.
You may have 2 helpers, Sarah and Sunny.
Sarah and Sunny.
One more thing to keep in mind, you must start standing up.
Must start standing
One
up.
quick
Okay.
thing, as the attorney here, I may accidentally grope your butt.
We
when
will
I'm
be
doing
touching
it,
your butt.
But I have your consent to do that.
I am giving you, Sonny, I'm giving you verbal consent to grope
Go.
away whatever we need to do to break the record.
Okay.
Okay, you as
Hannah,
well, Sarah.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
You ready?
The record to beat is 95. Are you ready?
I am ready.
3, 2, 1, go. That's the end of the 1 minute time.
Cut!
Oh, God. That was a lot.
We will find out if we broke the world record when we come back.
Hey, kid.
There's no record, but meteor showers at the Booth Theater and the Guinness World Records 2018 book is out right now. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy the view. You can see him.
Prescription opioids and heroin grip our